Hello, everybody, and welcome to the AG News Show. I'm your host, Roberto Alvarez-Galloso, transmitting from the heart of Miami called Kendall, Florida. We're here to talk about one of the greatest and most fearful things in the world. Something that very few people have wanted to talk about, and it's about time that we bring it up. Mental health. I have with me Sabrina Fallah, Canadian rock star, and we're going to talk with her about this big crisis called mental health. Sabrina, I want to thank you for coming to our forum, because this is going to be a series of forums. You're not only invited, and you're going to be coming in many times, but anyone who wants to come in will be dealing about mental health. Because it is about time that we start using this platform to talk about mental health.
Yes, especially during the pandemic. Yeah.
Even before or after the pandemic, it has been time, because mental health, and correct me, mental health has been something that has been hidden under the rug for a long time, and it's time that we discuss it. Number one, what is your definition of mental health, and why is mental health so important? Not just because of the pandemic, but because of the universal history that humankind has had to deal with concerning mental health. These questions can also be answered on a personal basis as well as a global basis. You have the floor.
To me, mental health is when someone is suffering silently and not talking about it to anyone. Because most people, when they suffer mental health, depression or anxiety, they're not talking about it. They're going out, they're going to work, they're seeing their friends, and they're acting like everybody else. But when they're home and they're alone, they're in their dark spot. And they're crying and they're being alone. So mental health is not that, it's really, really, really sad. And the ways to help it, find somebody you can trust, who will not judge you and will only listen to you to know what's happening if you want to talk to someone. But if they start judging you, they're not the right person to open up your heart to, because you're opening up about how you feel.
Okay, now that we've talked about mental health, my other question for you, because I want you to answer everything about mental health, because this is going to be an open forum for everybody.
Yeah, of course.
Why is it that from the beginning of time, just one minute, my chair is, I was about ready to fall on my chair.
Oh.
Why is it that since the beginning of time, your opinion, why is it that since the beginning of time mental health has been ignored?
Oh, I think, okay, you want my honesty?
We want all of your honest opinion, because we're to talk about mental illness, we have to talk about the definition, we have to talk about why it's ignored, why everything.
Okay. I'm going to be honest, but I don't want people to kill me for this. But I think it's because a lot of people don't believe in depression and anxiety, and they all think it's in people's heads because they haven't been affected by it. But it's real, and once you get hit by it, it's difficult. So I don't think a lot of people are coming out because they're silent about it, because they're scared, because some people are not going to believe them. So it's very hard for people to find someone to open up to, but they are out there. But there's also tools like going to a psychologist or psychiatrist or going to the hospital and finding out what they can do for you. There's many ways, but sometimes it takes a long time to get them. It can be a wait because there's a lot of people, but just don't give up. Don't give up and stay strong.
True. No, we have to. The reason why I ask this is because in time, and I'm not only talking about the pandemic. The pandemic left a lot of people with a lot of mental illness. It's because from the beginning of time to the present, in other words, when man had written history, we had this problem as humankind. Humankind, I'm using the word humankind here. We as humans have had this problem of trying to tough it out. That well, we can survive this, yet there are many of us who fall through the cracks of being unable to deal with some of the daily pressures. And this has been endemic since the beginning of time. It could be because of fear, could be because of fear of rejection,
Right.
could be fear of weakness. It could be because of desire to toughen it out because there's no fear. There are many issues, and even cultural.
And also, having depression or anxiety does not mean you're weak. It's just that you have done so much in your life and your body is just tired. It does not make you a weak person at all.
And I agree with you. To bring this up into the open is a lot better. I'm even thinking of the cultural issues. There are many cultures that want to toughen it out. I know. I'm born here, but I'm Spanish, Hispanic in culture, and we've always had a tendency to sort of like toughen it out, not seek help until it's too late.
Yeah. Yes.
Again, I don't know about Canada or whatever, but you already answered most of it. What are the consequences of ignoring mental health? What are the consequences?
Oh, well, this is a very hard question because some people are very afraid to ask for help because they don't want to admit to themselves that they're also suffering it. Like some people are even scared to say, yeah, I am suffering from depression. So they have to build the strength to admit it before they can go and ask for help, because if you can't admit it, then it's going to be difficult. So that's a real hard question. But the longer you take to ask for help, it could get worse, and you can start hurting yourself.
Mm-hmm.
By not asking for help, you are hurting yourself inside, putting yourself in that spot. If you believe in God, you could pray and ask for healing if you believe. Other ways, if you're afraid to ask for help, do things that make you happy. If you like to listen to music or watch a show to make you laugh, it will help you for that time until you can ask for help. But eventually, you should get help and try. But it's different for everybody. Some people just can't do it, and it's not their fault. They just are so hurt.
True.
Inside.
Yeah. Again, this has to be like with Canada and the United States. In Canada, I can imagine Health Canada is the name of the medical system there in Canada, right? The health system in Canada is Health Canada, right?
The healthcare, yeah, we have very good healthcare for mental health here. Yeah.
Yeah. If someone in Canada were to have problems with mental health problems, besides going to a friend or going to a family member or even to a religious figure, priest,
Right.
a priest or a rabbi or monk, what are the agencies to go to in Canada to help for those in depression?
I think the best way to explain that is talking about my personal experience.
Yeah.
When I went to ask. Now this is my first time actually admitting it, so here it is. I'm taking a chance here to talk about it. I went to the hospital and I told them that I'm not feeling good inside, and my mind is not thinking positive, and I need help. I asked for help. And they immediately brought somebody to talk to me, and they actually sent me to the mental, it's called a mental hospital, but they have for mental health there. So when you walk in, you see a lot of things, but there's a mental health department. And I saw a psychologist there. A psychiatrist. And then they put me to go see a psychologist and then a therapist. But it took me a year to get to that point. But also they ask you to fill out forms so they can see how your mind is working, so they know exactly what you're thinking about, because they want to make sure that you're safe, that you won't harm yourself, because that's the first thing that they want to know. Are you going to be okay? So it was difficult because I was really suffering. So waiting a whole year to get to the point of seeing a psychologist was not great. But I was not the type to harm myself. So I never ever thought about hurting myself. I was just depressed and sad. I would never hurt myself. But I was hurting myself by waiting so long to get help because I couldn't talk about my problems. But I would never physically harm my body in any way. So I would not do that.
Great. Besides the experience that you had to go to a mental professional, please feel free to elaborate on whatever problems that you had in mental health for the public, so that they could know and they could one day take adequate measures, like to go to the physician, go to the family members. Everything is for you.
So you want me to explain what they taught me?
What you learned about mental health and what you have felt in what your experience.
Oh. Oh my God, this might be the worst thing to say, but it's not curable. That's for sure. You just have to keep to explain that is when I went to my psychologist, she said the only way you will heal is if you follow these tools and skills that I tell you to bring activity back into your life, to start being motivated again. Because as soon as you stop doing your daily routine, you're going to go back into that deep state. And it's true. You have to keep moving and keeping active and seeing people. And that's why when COVID came around, it made it even worse, because you couldn't see anybody or hold somebody's hand or give them a hug or give them a kiss on the cheek or anything. You just had to go on social media and talk to them, which is fine. But we're so used to being in front of people. Well, I grew up not on social media. I grew up before all the cell phones really came out. So
same here.
So I had a flippy phone in high school. So I'm not used to all this social media on the phone. But I used to go out biking and playing sports and doing all that stuff. And I still like doing that. So when COVID came, I'm like, I'm not used to this staying home. I am always outside doing something active. And COVID messed me up a lot. But it didn't stop me. It didn't make me say I'm going to give up. It made me think, what can I do while I'm home? Well, I contacted a hell of a lot of radio stations that got myself on FM stations. I did a lot of interviews. I did a lot of virtual concerts. I wrote songs. And I stayed in touch with people online as much as I could, so nobody thought I was ignoring them. Because people are sad and people needed to be talked to. A lot of people who were living alone needed people, and it's sad because some people broke up in their relationships during COVID. So a lot of people also lost a lot of their family members and friends too. So it wasn't the best 2 years at all. Like, I was still suffering during trying to pursue my career, but I just try to stay positive and not think negative. But the one thing I didn't do was write about COVID. So I didn't want to write about being home or being stuck or anything. I still wrote positive things to stay positive.
That's good. That's good that you did that. And again, sorry if sorry if I asked the tough questions. Is that we wanted to get him. I wanted to personally. I look at mental health and the mental health form as something that needs to be addressed. You can't cure mental health, like you said, but you can reduce the risk. You can reduce the trauma. There have been people.
You can get rid of the negative thoughts as much as you can. Now, it depends on every person not every skill is going to work with every person, because sometimes somebody might need a different one to help them. So there's a lot of work to do, but you can heal, but it does come back, and it can, if you have a very deep depression, which happens all year round, or if you're seasonal, when it gets too dark during winter, and then because sometimes people get more depressed because it gets dark sooner outside, and then it gets dark, and then you're feeling all tired and weak.
Yeah, it does hurt.
Sometimes the season change can do it as well, but I have I have yearly depression, so I can get depression while it's the sunniest day outside. My mind just goes off, but also I have anxiety too. But I've had this my entire life, and there's nothing wrong. But I am able to do my work with it. I can write songs and perform with it. Actually, music helps me because it just takes me away from it. I focus on something else. It doesn't affect me at all.
Yeah, music actually helps. Mental health is not just only depression or psychosis. Mental health could also be, for example, someone feeling disgusted or angry after being rejected.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you an example. Since you're a rocker, and I'm also the same generation. You're a rocker. I'm also a rocker too, and I'm the same generation. We're almost the same generation because I didn't grow up with the cell phones or Instagram or Facebook or anything. But I remember.
I grew up with MySpace.
What?
Way before.
No, I'm right. You know how old I am? 60. And I remember when I was 10 years old in 1972. 73. 1972 I was 10 years old. And I think it was in Europe at the time. And there was a rock star, you probably know him, Ricky Nelson.
Yes.
Ricky Nelson, the one with Ozzy and Harriet, I think it was from Ohio. Ricky Nelson attempted a comeback in 1972. He was invited to go to the Madison Square Garden. And he went to the Madison Square Garden and he received big rejections from everybody. Howard Hughes, Sonny and Cher, John and Yoko Ono. He canceled the concert and was really fuming mad. And then I don't know if he reduced his mental health, but he sort of at least reduced it to a point where it didn't affect him. Because out of this anger that he had, he put it into music. The Garden Party. The Garden Party was a response to the establishment that insulted him and gave him a lack of respect when he tried his concert in the Madison Square Garden. And he once said, you can't please anybody, you gotta please yourself. I passed through the same, that was in 1972. Almost 40 years later, 2011, my blog was 5 years old at that time. Yeah, I already told you about the history. At that time, I had a first wife and a daughter. They did what they called democratic elections and they threw me out of the house. And I spent all this time here in Miami in a Chevy Cobalt all around. Oh, of course I was depressed. Who wouldn't be? You had almost 20 years of marriage. Oh, that's what you thought? And you thought you had it all.
Yeah.
What I do, I went to Chrome Avenue. Chrome Avenue is the country road between Homestead and Fort Lauderdale. Very lonely road. And then it goes to other area then it goes to another highway that takes you to Miami or to Florida. But I went on Chrome Avenue and I turned on, I had the CD of Ricky Nelson. And that's when I decided, you can't please anybody, you have to please yourself. And since I believe in God, I please Him.
Mhm.
And it's not easy. Everyone has a different way of responding to mental health.
Yeah, everybody has a different way to heal from it, deal with it. Everybody has to find a way to help themselves when they try to wake up in the morning, what to do to keep them up and to keep them moving, to keep them going. Even if you're having the worst day of your life, try to move and try not to just sit down and do nothing. It's going to make it worse. I know it's hard, but just try to help yourself. Slowly, slowly, step by step. Slowly, slowly. I'm not saying to jump up. Slowly, slowly build yourself up until you have the courage to ask for help. You have to help yourself because you have to help yourself. You have to do it. And trust me, you don't want to stay down there for too long. It's not good, and it's not healthy. It's not healthy.
I know, I've been there too, just like you were, when I got divorced. But how did I redo? How did I get back to life? God was one, the rock music. Of course, church helped.
Yeah, of course, church can help.
And in addition to church helping, of course, I did my own way. I did my own way of church because I didn't get baptized in the church. I had a pastor friend who did the baptism for me.
Mm.
And of course, it helped that I rediscovered my first love was not my second wife, Marilia.
Oh.
If it weren't for her, I don't know what would have happened. Of course, there have been times when I wanted to go back. I'm not going to deny that during the COVID, I did want to go back. But there were two things that helped me prevent from going back to COVID, going back to the depression. Well, that's a lie. Not two. Three things.
Right.
Actually, four. Number one was God. Number two, my wife helped me a lot.
That's good.
Three, letting everything out. And four, of course, having these programs every Friday, but now I decided to do mental health because I want everybody to know about mental health. And a fifth reason that helped me get back to my feet. And don't take it personally or don't take it anything else. But there was a great Canadian rocker whose music helped me, especially breakthrough.
I had a feeling.
Your music helped a lot.
Oh, thank you.
Your music helped a lot.
If there's anybody out there that wants to hear a song that I wrote about depression, that talks about not giving up and not letting go and helping yourself to move forward, it's called Paradise Comes with a Price. And I wrote it being inspired by Robin Williams because of his passing, and he inspired me to write that song.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're interested, it's on YouTube, and I also have a video of it as well.
Yes. I saw the video, and it's really good. I liked how you really addressed depression. Robin Williams was not the only one who had this sort of problem. Many other people. Many other artists, and I'm glad, Sabrina, that you were one of those artists that didn't have the same problem that Robin Williams had, because we need you.
The thing is, he has been in the public eye for a very long time, and nobody knew he was suffering. He was actually hiding it. And I think he was getting Parkinson's. I think he was about to get Parkinson's disease. And I don't think he wanted to live suffering with that. So I have a feeling, well, that's what they're saying, why he passed. But I understand that if you're suffering to the point that you don't want to suffer more than what you are, you have to be in a really, really, really dark place to do something like that. But you can't blame them because they are suffering and they didn't want to suffer more. So it's their choice. But he is very much loved, and I miss him. And since his death, I haven't yet watched a movie of his. I am so heartbroken because he was my favorite. John Ritter and Robin Williams were my favorite actors. John Ritter died in his sleep from a heart problem that they didn't know he had, actually. It just happened. And Robin Williams, sadly, he hurt himself. But I wanted to meet them both. But I still watch Three's Company to this day because he plays Jack Tripper so well. I still laugh at all his jokes, but I can watch his movies. But Robin Williams was a different death, so that one hurt me, and that's why I wrote the song, because I was like, what was he thinking during that time? And then instead of writing about feeling hurt, I wrote more about don't go that far to hurt yourself. Stay positive. So I wrote it in the positive way to help people. Don't go there. Please don't go there.
Yeah.
Don't leave us. Don't leave us.
Sabrina, you know, Robin Williams was very universally known about this, but when you talk about Robin Williams, two people came to mind in my life. One I didn't know, and the other one that I did know. If I didn't tell you, I'm going to tell you. The first one was Freddie Prinze. Freddie Prinze, the father of Freddie Prinze Jr. To have Freddie Prinze Jr., since you probably know this story, but I'm going to let everybody know because nobody knew the story of Freddie Prinze. Freddie Prinze Jr. is the Hollywood actor. He was the one with the Sarah Gellar, whatever, Sarah Michael Gellar. But to have Freddie Prinze Jr., you had to have Freddie Prinze. Freddie Prinze was an actor born in New York. His father was Hungarian and his mother was Puerto Rican. And at the tender age of 18, he was very prolific in acting and being a comic. After he graduated from high school in 1972, at the age of 18, he started a meteoric rise in Hollywood as a comedian.
Yeah.
He went too fast, I think. He even managed to receive a series called Chico and the Man, in which he played a Puerto Rican garage assistant to a crusty old racist. Although the crusty old racist was Jack Albertson, was very famous with the Three Stooges and all the other stuff. But Freddie Prinze, nobody knew what he was going through. He recorded albums, he made appearances. He even appeared in Christmas specials in the 70s. I know, I remember seeing him. Even Jose Feliciano wrote about him. He was the darling of the Latin community. Me born in Ohio to Cuban parents, and seeing someone of at least half a Latin heritage be on national television was a big thing. And many people thought the same thing. We had a star.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, nobody knew what he was going through. He was very happy. His last appearance was when Jimmy Carter was going to be inaugurated as president. Jimmy Carter was inaugurated in 1977, for those who don't remember. And Freddie Prinze was one of the people who did the jokes. Everybody was laughing. Yet he was suffering inside. One part was he was not very happy. He wanted to leave everything and just go elsewhere. Yet on the other hand, he couldn't leave Hollywood. And on top of that, his wife His wife left him. His wife, who was the mother of Freddie Prinze Jr. Freddie Prinze Jr. and the mom of Freddie Prinze Jr. left Freddie Prinze when Freddie Prinze Jr. was about 3 or 4 months old to Arizona. And he was really, really depressed. He was at wit's end. And then in January, and then 1 week after Jimmy Carter took over as the president, he invited his manager to come and see him. That he was, and his manager said he wasn't feeling well or anything. And he took a gun and shot himself in the head.
Oh,
His manager was traumatized.
oh, I'm sure.
His manager quit show business after what happened because Freddie Prinze died immediately. When he did it to his brain, he did it to himself, and that was it. And the manager quit. Chico and the Man, which was a very big series. Many people got traumatized. Many people got traumatized with the series. Jack Albertson, who was the crusty old racist, retired from show business. He was so traumatized that he retired from show business. And retired, I think, to California, but he said, no, I don't want to do any more show business. The other person in the program, Scatman Crothers, who was really big in his time, even played trumpet and everything with Louis Armstrong, Count Basie and everything, and was also actor and also appeared with Duke Ellington. He retired. Many people associated with Freddie Prinze retired or didn't even want to hear about him. And many people who are Latin turned off NBC, ABC, and CBS and retired to Spanish television. It was so big. Even to this day, I don't even see reruns of Chico and the Man. Oh, I hear Jose Feliciano's music. I hear Feliciano's music, but I don't hear the one about the theme from Chico and the Man because it was too traumatized.
Right, right.
And the thing was, I didn't even know Freddie Prinze. We thought that he was going to be big. I can only imagine Freddie Prinze Jr., how that might have affected him and how he became, how he said, I'm going to do some things different from my dad. Now, I did have something very personal. And this happened when I was in high school in Venezuela. In Venezuela, I'm talking about the 1970s, they had beauty contests. And there was this really, really very beautiful girl called Maye Brandt, Venezuelan model, one of the biggest, one of the greatest. She was Miss Lara. Lara is a province of Venezuela. She was very beautiful. She didn't win Miss Venezuela. And of course, since she didn't go to Miss Venezuela, she didn't even win Miss Universe. But she went on to bigger and bigger things in television. I know her personally. That's why I didn't want to mention her that much. But I know her personally. She was very nice. She was very sweet. She also helped me many times when I was in Venezuela. In other words, she was a great friend.
Right.
I would go to a hotel and everything, would see her and we would talk and everything. When I was down, she was like, you'll get better. Or anything like that. That was when I had my downs or when I had my ups.
Right.
But while she was helping others, because she loved to help others, she went helping the poor people in Venezuela, the people who were illiterate, the people who were down, the people who were up, the people who needed something. She was helping other people, but she was also suffering. Number one, the pressure of being beautiful, being a beautiful model, is very, very heavy in Latin America. The pressure of being a model in Latin America is very heavy because they have to comply with certain mythologies. In addition to certain mythologies, models were not as treated as well in Latin America as they are well treated in Canada, the United States, or the Western world. Most of them are treated like trash by unscrupulous people. The same unscrupulous people like we once talked about robbed rock stars. These are unscrupulous people who robbed the salaries of models. Oh, and of course, you cannot have the robber barons of the modeling agencies without the backstabbing of other models who are so envious. And I'm not talking about Green Day envy or green envy. I'm talking about envy like really, really hateful.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, all of this got to her. Before I graduated from high school in Venezuela in 1980, and I went back on Christmas vacation 1980 and 1981. That's the last time I went there. And I saw her. She was already Miss Lara and everything. She had already gone through that, and she was doing shampoo commercials, everything else commercial. And she was happy, but she didn't reveal that she was sad. When I was to leave Venezuela for the last time in 1981, I said goodbye to her and everything. This was in January of 1981. I was 18 going on 19. And she was 20 going on 21. I found out a week afterwards that she had committed suicide. She killed herself because the pressure was too much.
And that's why you need to ask for
Nobody in Venezuela knew about it, because in Venezuela they didn't even talk about mental illness. It was hidden all over, hidden under the rug. You couldn't say anything because you were portrayed as weak. And when she died, Venezuela, they gave a big funeral to her. I am not going to deny, in January of 1981, around that time, since I knew her personally, that I felt the pain.
Of course.
I felt the pain very, very, very hard. Of course, I didn't have to go to a psychiatrist or to a psychologist. I just had to find a way to get rid of it. Because many people, when someone they know dies, Robin Williams, we already know, because we know him from the films. We don't know him personally.
Yeah, exactly.
Freddie Prinze, I didn't know him personally. It was just simply the fact that this happened, and Freddie Prinze was much more dramatic than Robin Williams. But Maye Brandt was suicide with hanging.
Oh.
And I knew her personally. 1 minute. Don't worry, I'm a lot better. I knew her personally. I had her autographs. I had everything. I had to burn most of the magazines that she gave me with her picture. That's how big it was. And just to say goodbye, I could still remember Miami throwing everything away.
Right.
But I still remember her to this day. What did I do? I remembered simply I just simply remembered the good times I had with her. And the advice that she gave me. Of going forward. Not allowing many things to hurt you. And if they're hurt, find someone to talk to. Or, if you can't find refuge in God, find refuge in coffee. But I'm not going to deny that it was very hurtful. One thing that did help. One thing that did help was a song. It was a sad song, but it helped me. Because at least this sad song helped me, but at least the way it was delivered helped me. Because it not only helped me through my divorce, which was very painful, but it helped me through this painful death of what could have been a promising woman in her early 20s, done in by the demands of the modeling industry, done in by unscrupulous people who thought that models were just simply Barbie dolls that could be used and discarded. and also by unscrupulous other models who said, she's much more beautiful than I am, I'm gonna screw her. Sort of like the, the Tanya Harding and Nancy Kerrigan scenario. You know, the jealousy. The song that held me was "The First Cut is the Deepest" by Rod Stewart.
I love that
Not the
song.
Sheryl Crow one. The Sheryl Crow one was like, the Sheryl Crow one, the way Sheryl Crow interpreted it was like she was telling the person, you suck. But Rod Stewart, the way he said it, the way he said it, the way Rod Stewart sang it, he was like,
Beautiful.
yes, but I like the Rod Stewart interpretation much more than the Sheryl Crow one. Because the Sheryl Crow one was...
I didn't even know Sheryl Crow sang it. But anyway.
Sheryl Crow sang it.
Rod Stewart all the way.
Yeah, I used the Sheryl Crow version. I had to turn it up because it was too negative. But I turned on the Rod Stewart one.
Rod Stewart is very good.
The Rod Stewart one, I heard it. In 1981, I went to the same area, Chrome Avenue, very abandoned, and heard it many, many, many times, about 10 times in the car. Had it in cassette. When I got divorced, I didn't heard it in the CD, but it helped me a lot better. At that time when Maye Brandt had died, and I had recently returned to the United States from Venezuela, I imagined her being next to me and she was saying, I couldn't help myself, but you have to go on for me. You have to go on. I'm in a better place now. I'm in a better place. I feel a lot better. Don't worry. Don't just go ahead. I was someone in your life. This happened. Go ahead. And mental health also tends to affect widows, people who have lost their loved ones through deaths. It's not easy. Even dogs, when you lose a dog, you're also depressed. I lost my dog and I was very depressed for 2 months or 3 months. And somehow I managed to bounce back. And it's not easy.
I lost this squirrel that I was rescuing. I buried him in my yard. I talk to him every day.
I look at my dog's photo every day. I look at my dog's photo and everything gets better. But these are things that have to be addressed. And if you cannot cure mental health, but you can always reduce it. You can reduce the risks by doing what makes you happy.
Yeah.
And I do want to let you know something, Sabrina. You're always more than welcome to come back to more of the mental health forums. And if there's anyone else who wants to talk about mental health, we'll be glad to talk about it because it is necessary to discuss these things and bring it out into the open. Mental health is not something to be swept under a rug.
Yeah. So basically, if anybody's interested that wants to join us on another day or night, if you're comfortable talking about mental health in general, it doesn't mean you have to talk about your experiences if you're not ready.
Of course.
Some people just can't. I took a risk and I talked a little bit about it, but I didn't go deep into it. Yeah. But still, that was a risk.
No, I took a risk.
I still don't open up too much about my own problems.
No,
but eventually it's going to come out because it will show at some point and somebody will say, well, what's going on? Oh, nothing, I'm okay, but don't be afraid. Like, if you're feeling sad, if you can't cry where you are, go into the bathroom or go somewhere and cry. Crying it will release everything. Crying is actually really good for you. If you have to cry, cry. Trust me, it helps. It does work.
Yeah, I do. I know. I did the same thing like you did. I lost my wife. I cried all the time in Chrome Avenue.
Yeah, me too.
With the first cut is the deepest. When Maye Brandt died, that I know her personally, I cried, not just because of her, but because of what she was, but because of what she was a victim of. And Freddie Prinze, well, I didn't know Freddie Prinze that much. I didn't know him well. I just simply saw his TV series. I turned off his TV series. I turned off everything about Chico and the Man. And I'm not the only one. Tony Orlando was a star, and it was Freddie Prinze's best friend. Tony Orlando was so shocked about Freddie Prinze's death that he quit Hollywood and went to live as a recluse in Missouri.
Oh, wow.
He stopped recording and he said, I am leaving Hollywood, and he went to Missouri. And to this day, he has not made any recordings. He has not appeared in any films or anything.
Yeah, it's a very cruel world, and I have to say, it's a world that can be very mean and cruel. So just be careful who you open up your heart to with anything, not just mental health. Don't tell people things that you don't want them to know. People can be really mean, and they can twist things, and it will hurt you even more. So just be careful.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself.
Yeah. Of course. I also want to thank you for listening to me too much, and I also want to thank you for opening up. Again, you're more than welcome to come here and talk about mental health. We'll leave it, if any professional wants to talk about mental health or different forms of mental health or sicknesses, they're more than invited to go, because this mental health forum is ongoing. Because it's
I will definitely come back. I mean, we can talk about anything, and I'll open as much as I am comfortable with opening. Because sometimes if I open too much, then I'm going to get a reaction from it because I have never talked about it. So you can only open up so much. You know, like even when you go to a psychiatrist or to a psychologist, you're going to be like, okay, I'm talking to a complete stranger. You don't have to open up 100%.
Of course.
They will ease you into it. They don't just say, how are you? They're going to say what's going on, and they're going to give you the tools, and they're going to ease you. They don't expect you to open up your whole life story immediately.
Of course.
And they don't do that because they don't want to hurt you even more by talking about it. If you tell them, I can't talk about it, then they're going to just talk about something else. They're very good at their job. They will not hurt you. But it was a bit scary the first time going to a psychologist.
Yeah, it is.
But it worked. Getting the tools, learning. Some of them worked, some of them didn't. But now I know. I don't see anybody anymore because I know enough tools now to help myself. And also it's costly. It can be expensive to see a psychologist. So after a while, I'm like, if I ever need to go back, I'll go back. But I think, I have enough tools, and I am okay now. But I do have my down days, but I just get back up again. I have learned to push myself back up, not to fall, not to let go, to move forward.
Yeah. And you also...
But it took a lot of practice.
Of course.
Think it happened in one day. I saw my psychologist for 3 years, probably. It took me a long time to have confidence in myself again. Oh, it's bad. It's bad. You don't want to go there. Please don't go there. Please get help. Don't stay there. Yeah,
that's why I brought up Freddie Prinze and Maye Brandt. I also want to let you know something else, Sabrina. I want to thank you for bringing up mental health. And as I said, you're more than welcome to bring up more. We're very open. In other words, we're letting you talk all that you want. This is your show. But I'm also going to be bringing in professionals who talk about mental health and how they deal with mental health with patients and everything. And in addition, if any healthcare professionals that are trained in mental health want to come in and talk about how they deal with mental health or how to deal with it, they're more than welcome. Before leaving, Sabrina, I just want to let you know something. Remember something. You are worth more than everybody else. You're one of the greatest people in the world. You're one of the greatest rockers. Your music helped me too. It helped me through the deep times.
When I first released my song about depression, when it came out in 2016, I had people messaging me saying, "Thank you for that song. It actually helped me today." So if you are feeling depressed, go and hear that song. Listen to the lyrics. It's going to tell you that you're going to be okay. One day, you're going to see that bright light again, and that darkness is going to go. But you have to help yourself get there. Step by step. I'm not saying jump. It took me 3 years, step by step. 3 years is a very long time, but sometimes it takes even longer. Some people have it even longer. So
depends on the organism.
it can get better. It's not curable, but you will feel better again.
And I just want to let you know, Sabrina, that you're one of the greatest. Well, I'm going to be listening to the song about depression, even though I did the sort of like the long jump, but just remember something, you're one of the greatest. And you're going to get over everything. Never forget that. And just remember, Sabrina, you're one of the greatest. Never forget that. You're always going to be one of the greatest rockers that we have. And in addition to being one of the greatest rockers, I'm going to confess that I consider you family.
Thank you. That means a lot. Thank you very much.
That's why do you think I sent postcards from Puerto Rico?
Oh, that's sweet. Yes.
And in addition to sending postcards,
Nobody really sends me postcards, so that's really sweet.
in addition to postcards from Puerto Rico, I also remember sending you postcards from Ecuador. Because I have family, my wife and you, and some others, but you're always family. And I also listen to your CDs a lot. Not only listening to the depression, I'm listening to the other CDs that you send me. You're one of a kind. And we need people like you, and not just in the music business, but in the business of being around other people. The world is not the same without Sabrina Fallah.
I think this world needs a lot of nice people. I think people need to start being nice to each other, because people are really mean these days. It's really, really, really bad.
I know.
Like, come on, people. If you want to be treated nicely, then you have to treat that person nicely too.
Yeah.
You have to give something to get it back in return. And if somebody's being mean to you, don't take it. Walk away. Stand up for yourself. And that's the one thing I didn't do my entire life till like 3 years ago. I forgot to stand up for myself. That's why I got so depressed. Because I'm like, why is everybody being mean to me? Because they were mean to me because they knew I would not stand up for myself. Because I was taking it. I didn't mean to take it. I was just too afraid to tell them to stop, because I didn't know if they would be mean to me. You know, being young and scared of people being mean to you, you hide. So I have learned to stand up for myself now. So do it.
Yeah, that's another thing you have to do. Stand up for yourself. And treat others as you want to be treated. Like the song from the Yardbirds. The Yardbirds recorded a song in 1967 called "Come On People Now, Smile on Your Brother. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now."
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And then there was another group called Ocean in 1971. I do remember this. I'm going way back to my youth. When I was 5 years old and 9 years old. When Walmart was simply little and not big.
There was a Walmart?
Yeah, Walmart existed a long time ago. In the 60s and the 70s, it was a small thing.
Really? No way.
Yeah, wait, they sold 45s for 1 cent. And there was two songs. Come On People, Now Smile on Your Brother by the Yardbirds in 1967. I still remember the song like it was yesterday. And the one by Ocean. I love the Ocean. They did a song called Put Your Hand in the Hand of the Man Who Stilled the Water. Of course, they were referring to God. They were referring to a gospel song because they were like a Christian gospel rock song. Even the cover album, they were imitating the mamas and the papas doing their own baptism. But I'm not going to go into the. I'm not going to go into the detail. They were doing a hippie baptism. But the song stuck. It said, "Take a look at yourself, and you can look at others differently, and treat others as you want to be treated, by putting your hand in the hand of the man who stilled the waters." Very catchy tune. So catchy that Elvis Presley, Jerry Lee Lewis, and Johnny Cash recorded it.
Really?
I'll send you the link.
Yes, please do. I love Elvis. Oh.
I'll send you the link. It was part of Elvis Presley's comeback tour, in which he got all the accolades, while Ricky Nelson got all the boos. But you're gonna do okay. You're one of the greatest, and never forget that. For me personally, you're one of the greatest rockers. But independently of you being a rocker and writing your own songs and being in movies, you're also a big family to me.
Yeah.
You're one of the very biggest families. And I want to see you really move on and get better. And you know what? You're going to get better.
Oh, I am good. It's just because having depression, you have your days.
Yeah, it's like the tiger.
Good and bad. And you have your mixed emotions. So, I just have to, like, if I'm having a bad day and my mind is negative, I just think about what's positive in my life right now. And these negative thoughts are not real. You have to remember, negative thoughts are not real. They haven't happened yet. So why are you thinking about it?
Of course.
That's what the psychologist said. If you're thinking that you can't do it, but how do you know if you haven't done it yet? Like, it's all negative. It's all that I can't. You have to think I can, I will.
Yeah. What I'm going to be doing, Sabrina, is that we're going to leave it with this with another chapter.
Yeah.
Because Instagram is already telling me to go. And I'm also having other interviews. But...
Okay, yeah, so we can definitely continue this another time. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to let you know that you're one of the greatest. And I want to thank everybody who visited us for the Mental Health Forum. We're going to be having more mental health forums, and everyone who's a healthcare professional or has problems can come in. Sabrina, thank you for joining in this mental health forum. You're more than invited. You're one of the greatest people. We always have you in our mind, and in the postcards that we sent from elsewhere. Our best wishes.
All right. Thank you so much, and thank you for everybody who tuned in tonight. Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, thank you for everything, and everybody, before I leave, I want to leave one challenge. Peace in, peace out, and peace everywhere. And in the words of Laura Marie, I challenge everybody to let there be love. Let there be love.
Yeah.
Until the next time.